right, so when last we left off in the little town of Leyland, the village slash town slash not quite a city, but almost maybe a city, was under siege by not one but two armies of various cults. One from the south, who began the attack, those of Merkel and Ularan Mortis, and those from the north, the Talosites, led by Therali Stormwind. Stormrage. And the northern gate fell. They breached it with some siege weaponry and fire and broke into the city. The barbarians, made from half-dragon descent. That's right, Rar. I rage. Charged their way into the city. While you were helping one of the council members at the quayside, who were pinned beneath a boat under the clutchy, grabby, clawy bits of a bone claw. And the south gate, at this time, continues to hold. However, the undead are able to flow over and or around the gate now that they have begun to maneuver to the west and come in through the shores. We had left the quayside after having heard of the beginning of some war drums to the north and seeing lightning bolts start to streak down from the sky, and opted to head towards the town hall / square, where it had been rumored that the barbarians and others were fleeing, and not really fleeing, but assaulting towards, to kind of sack the city. So you ran in there to defend, as any good champion would, and found that the forces of Leyland were being pushed back by these barbarians, and that none other than our famed old Gnawbones, under the guise of a Ebon Death spirit, had joined the party in the town, and that is where we resume. So, Caligmatar, flying into the area, essentially is going to take up perch in the square and focuses their attention on the barbarians that are currently assaulting the forces of Leyland. So, Caligmatar will use her attacks. 1, 2, 3 barbarian forces. Gotta get up a new thing to track this because my other one is not here anymore. Okay. All right. So, let's see. First one, 2, 3. Okay. So you watch as the dragon comes in, swoops in, lands with great thunderous, tremors, let's call them, and then begins an assault on some of the barbarians with tooth and claw, landing a savage bite on one of them, effectively grabbing them and tossing them across the square, and then clawing madly at another, kind of shredding them in place. So 2 of them have effectively been removed. You see at most a handful of others that remain, but they are now beginning to lose their mettle a little bit as this dragon is now descending upon them. The forces of Leyland, seeing their moment, kind of draw back and rally to build a better defensive position. And that leaves you guys now in the square, having arrived and seeing the scene unfold, to determine what it is that you will do.
How long has this been since we started?
So when you started, the entirety of the events that have unfolded? Call it no more than 15 minutes.
Okay. I'm just keeping track of wild shape.
Mm-hmm.
So, dragon is doing dragon things.
Dragon is doing dragony things, yes.
And not really directly attacking us.
At the moment, you are not the current target. The dragon is not focusing on you, yes.
I mean, then I would suggest to the rest of the group, we need to focus on wiping out these barbarians. Yeah, dragon big threat, but barbarian is, I mean, they're everywhere. So.
My suggestion would be to reposition. Caligulatar has her focus set on currently on the invaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to position ourselves in such a way as to be a barrier between Caligulatar and the council, right? And what's left of the militia. Because if we can make sure that Caligulatar just focuses on those barbarians first, fucking the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So
Is your Brosophine is what you're gonna say?
Most definitely not, but I see what he's doing.
So it's just one of those who has the focus right now. Like they have focus, let them keep it. I say we hold and ready and see if we can't get in touch with our council and see if they have an evacuation plan. 1, and 2, get that fucking grenade ready. We are in prime fucking position to fucking launch this full counterattack at this point. She's here. Just all we have to do is get position down and toss a fucking brick.
Toss a brick. Just for the sake of visibility, what I'll do here, I'll kind of draw this out. But all right, so like, say for example, like this over here in the water is the square. So you guys basically came in over here, and you're like in this vicinity here, right? There were the defenders. I'll make them circles. The defenders of Leyland that were here against the barbarians that were basically coming in like this. And then a big honking dragon kind of came in like this and was like, "Roar! I am a dragon!" Roar! And then basically currently is not really facing you and is going like this and going, "Roar!" all on them. So these bros here basically backed off a little bit and are kind of repositioning to make a new defensive wall to support and try to be able to handle the onslaught, so to speak. So you guys are over here, and now you kind of figure out what do. So I figure that was an easier way to kind of depict the layout when you guys can't see tokens on the map. So
yeah,
middle school football drawings.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the militia of Leyland, are they protecting a specific building at this point, I take it?
Not necessarily. They're just trying to hold a defensive line against the invaders. Like the barbarians kind of came in and were overpowering them kind of easily and quickly because they weren't able to set to be able to defend against them, because you got to think like the barbarians are basically just running like madmen coming into the town, and the defenders are trying to find where the incoming people are coming from, so they're rushing through the city and all of a sudden get all like run into and get caught by barbarians. They don't really have an established defense, so they're trying to kind of reset to build something to be a little more defensible to hold against them.
Okay. I honestly suggest that we find whoever is leading this group, tell them to go enforce like the north and let us handle this spot. Because frankly, as soon as Caligulatar is done, or Ebendeth, they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to turn, see us, and then focus on us, or they're going to try and go somewhere else. And depending on where they go, we're going to have to go there anyway. because I don't think anything else can really deal with that. As I watch it snack down a couple more French fries with ketchup.
Delicious.
So where are the lightning bolts still on the edge of town?
The lightning bolts, there's basically storm clouds over the entire city. But
Okay.
the lightning bolts, you did see some streak down inside the city, but you haven't seen any in your vicinity as of yet.
How many lightning bolts can Galena take?
More than
I mean, let me do a little number math here and try to actually give you an answer. Let's see, that
one to a limb,
is-
so 6.
I just have to find the damage roll here. Hold on. So 3d10 if you fail and half if you pass. So basically, outdoors in stormy conditions, spell gives control over existing storm instead. You gain an increase by 1d10. So basically, it's a 4d10 for damage of what it would be on a failed save to basically try to narrowly avoid a direct strike hit.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
Doing some math, Caligmentar can take a fair number of those.
10? 10 plus?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Again, I think we take these defenders that are here, send them to either go reinforce another area or find straggling civilians to get them into someplace safe that they can easily defend versus trying to form a line here. This is not necessarily the place you want to draw a line in the sand when there's a giant dragon and you, unfortunately, are just outfitted with a wooden pike.
I mean, and swords.
Okay, and a sword.
They got some
But I was right about the wooden
sword.
pike.
I mean, maybe.
I want to... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
You first.
I was just gonna say that, if the dragon turns on these guardsmen, and it's probably gonna look a bit like Link from Ocarina of Time whenever his wooden shield gets burnt and destroyed. He just, kind of running around with things on fire, so it's not gonna be pretty. So if we interpose ourselves in there while sending the guardsmen away, it'll make things a little bit easier on the rest of the town.
I disagree. We came here under the impression that City Head was here, right?
Right, but we don't know that until we ask them.
So, back to the original, we need to find out who's in charge, see what we got, and if possible, use grenade. Because we're not going to have a more prime opportunity to do so. Ground, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. On the ground, surrounded by buildings that I'm sure she could destroy at any given moment, but any movement restrictions that she has, better for us. And the fact that she's already on the ground means that if we hit her with the grenade, I mean, not that I imagine that she's hard to hit, more or less, hard to break through scales.
But in either case, we need to go and get in contact with the militia that's right in front of us. So let's go ahead and do that.
Moving.
So you guys are basically going to kind of reposition over here with the militia that are trying to form up and effectively give them
Figure out,
some better orders, perhaps.
perhaps, yes, depending upon what's going on.
Okay. All right. So maneuvering over, you see the kind of shaky line of individuals. Some of them actually, guards. Some of them just random townsfolk that have picked up a weapon. Kind of shakily now standing in fear of the things in front of them. Because the barbarians are no longer really paying attention to them simply because the dragon's now up their ass. So they're more or less trying to figure out if they want to run or if they want to hold. But the guards among them are trying to basically give them some resolve to stand fast. So you see one of them who is wielding a spear and a shield. Looks like he is, a standard guardsman, is basically trying to direct everyone. So you assume he must be the one that is in charge, or at least maybe of greatest rank among the people that are here.
I have a question that doesn't relate to this at all.
Okay, all right.
Can I cast spells while in wild shape?
No.
You cannot. You basically only have access to the skills and abilities of the shape that you have taken on.
Okay.
While your mental focus of your spell casting essentially is on more or less holding the shape or the form that you have changed into.
Okay, I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of hard to do somatic components of spells when you don't have opposable thumbs. You have bear paw instead.
Well, I was thinking more like touch spells. Like, how great would it be if a bear just walked up to you and touched it with its giant paw and healed you? That'd be great. Anyway, that was my question. That's all.
Okay, that's fair.
I will move over to the one that looks like he's in charge, and I will just look at him and say, "Report, soldier, now."
And he kind of stammers quickly, spinning his head to see you, and notes, well, we've gathered here to try to defend the southern gate from the advance here we have, and we think that the council members are potentially hiding out in one of these houses behind us, but no one's been able to get inside to verify simply because we've been under siege here, so...
As he turns to the nearest house and kicks in the door.
Okay.
Are they in there?
So go ahead and give me a strength check first, please. I want to see if you actually successfully kick the door in.
Sorry, I didn't pull up my character sheet.
That's okay. We have to live in the moment here a little bit, because I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to kick in the door and look like a badass and be like, "Hello, who the fuck's home?" But you might kick the door and be like, "Ow, my heel."
13?
So you kick the door heavily, and the door does kind of pop the lock out of its hinge, and it does open a little bit, but it's not as forceful as you were hoping for.
Great. That shows that I have some control. I push the door the rest of the way open.
Okay. You open the door the rest of the way.
Are they in there?
Inside, you see some scared, city folk, individuals who were not able to grab arms and come out and fight, and they basically just kind of cower back when they see you enter.
I shut the door.
Holly sticks her head in and peeks at them before he shuts the door.
I ask if they know where the council members are.
They can't really hear you through the door, but no. So they do not know that currently, once the bells started ringing and they all ran inside and kind of shut themselves in to try to hide.
All right. On to the next one.
Okay, all right, well.
Well, while he's doing that, I'm gonna.
I want to do one.
Everyone's going to just take a house now, I guess, huh? All right, so while they're going door to door, what is it you would like to do now, Cole?
I was going to, after the quick report, where are you placing the civilians for danger? Are they all just huddled in their homes, or do you have a place to bring them?
Currently, we have them staying within shelter in their homes.
Is there any place safer in this town than their homes? As I kind of point to the destruction that's ongoing and the little bit of line from the barbarians are slowly reducing to before the dragon takes their attention elsewhere.
Well, I suppose the most defensible position that's available to us still is probably towards the east gate by the Knight's Goblet Inn.
No.
God, that's cool. Wizard sour.
Or
Well,
the
the
Church of fucking Lathander.
Or, I don't know, the Church of Helm, the deity who's all about things like city defense, order, civility, literally founds conquering armies to send to faraway lands. Yes.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't see
don't
that.
you don't believe that they probably have an established presence yet in this particular location.
Yeah.
Not true.
That was a newer temple, from what I remember.
Well, so's the Knight's Goblet Inn.
Yep.
Them and all their fancy ass cocktails.
But it's the most defensible
Junie.
position.
Junie, considering my training as a paladin for all of that, and I've probably seen the closest to war out of the group, maybe besides Azzy. I don't know what he's gotten up to in his soldiering, in his sailor career, but knowing the lay of the town for as long as I've been in here, do I agree with that assessment from the guard?
I mean, from your assessment, probably it would work, yes. However, you feel that more than likely that there are closer locations that would be just as ample of defensible position, like the shrines that are literally across the way from the square, versus having to haul ass to the east side of the town among everything else that's going on.
Out of the shrines, which is probably the best for defending against a siege?
More than likely the Shrine of Lathander, simply because it was the largest and the first that was constructed here, so it has the most, well put together stone building.
I figured
feel.
that might be the case from what others were saying, and also just the design of the building, but I wanted to be sure. I will look at the guard. No, that will take too much time. You are to gather all the civilians in this area immediately and take them to the Shrine of Lathander. You are to hold up there and defend it with your lives, understood? You are protecting people now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go.
And he kind of motions to the soldiers, their soldiers and civilians, I guess I should say, with him, and they kind of pull up from their position and start waving people through the courtyard, directing them towards that area as some of them lead a column of individuals.
And I am going to make sure that I still stand here so I can see what's going on with the barbarians and make sure that if any break or suddenly Ebon Death, Caligulatar, whatever double dragon bullshit this is suddenly turns their attention, I'm going to make sure that I can at least capture it and buy things time.
Fair enough. Okay. So you guys have successfully repositioned to the south. Oops, I'm drawing squares. That's fantastic. Yeah, well, just you guys are squares now. This is you guys right here. So you have repositioned to the south, and you've now taken up to be able to defend against that. The barbarians are continuing to try to fight with Caligulatar, but it's a very one-sided battle in that they are losing horribly and being thrown around like ragdolls among the courtyard.
I got no problem with this.
I was supposed to, I'm that tiny square hiding behind the bigger square that's not Chris.
That's fair. Yep, that's fair.
Blackwind not depicted because she's probably soon to be 60 feet in the air.
We'll just make it like a littler. Oh, I have to put the shape on again. A littler square because height. Is that you're there, but you're way up there somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. So basically, you guys have a southern position now behind the barbarians that are currently kind of tilted to a northwestern approach, trying to fend off this dragon that basically wants them to die. So.
Did we find the council?
No.
Okay.
There were no council members to be found in the vicinity where you were going through houses.
Say we look at the Lathander, the Shrine of Lathander, and see if we can't find Galio. If we're looking for people. Or if you'd rather throw the grenade and see what happens in the middle of town.
Best spot for it, I guess.
Take out a couple barbarians with them, it'll be fine.
All right,
yeah,
so,
no, totally fine. Throw it into buildings that we have no idea if people are in or not.
So while you guys are contemplating, everyone go ahead and give me a d20, please.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal D20.
Yep, normal d20. Oof. That is not looking so great.
Bad
When
omens.
explodes.
First roll of the night. Getting them out of the way now.
That's right. All right, so yeah, let me do this. Give me a dexterity save, please. Blackman?
Everyone?
No, Blackman.
Okay.
The one high up in the air.
No, I'm not actually up in the air
Not
yet.
floating or
but
anything yet. No.
Not yet.
Give it time.
Soon, TM.
Exactly. All right, 15.
Okay, not horrible, but probably still not enough if it's dragging.
Let's see here. What's our save here? Save equivalent of. Okay, so you do save because you tie.
Yay!
So you only take 10 points of damage from lightning that shot down from the sky. And kind of impacted a little bit on the ground next to you, giving you a little bit of a jolt, but not directly getting you.
Just wanted to make sure that I don't actually have like resistance to that because I'm an air genasi. But nope. Okay, thank goodness.
At that,
Darn.
I would like to pull out my half of the grenade and hand it towards Nokris, saying, "You have a better arm."
You have a better arm.
I could launch it with magic, but that might not work well with the runes on it.
You have a better arm. Okay.
Argo, from what little tinkering you did with this, what exactly is going to happen when I arm it?
You'll have maybe 6 seconds after the 3 turns. Get that away from you when you do. Neither Gallo or I could determine the exact effects. They were rather well hidden, I suppose would be a good word with it, within the mechanism itself.
I mean,
I could just suicide it if you want. Watch me fucking chug it. I'll
Watch
do
you
it.
whip. Watch you
Watch
nene.
you chug it.
I'll fucking straight shove it in my armor and take off. I'll latch myself onto a claw.
Good thing you said my armor because that sentence was. Whew, it went in a different direction in my head. Oof. You did say suicide.
Yes, he did. I'm gonna try and use that as a last resort.
Just reminder, 3 turns.
Yep, so I have to activate it, and then it takes 3 turns, and then I can throw it.
No,
Okay.
3
No,
turns,
3 turns
of
is the key.
within the case.
Oh, 3 turns of the key.
From looking at it, I doubt it has a very long detonation time. So
Okay.
be
Probably
pretty
what, like
quick.
1 round maybe until detonation? 6
Well,
I'd
seconds?
assume, but I'm
We'll
not
we'll have to figure that out when it happens because
Yeah, we
no
never
one
had time to
Lovely.
talk to this.
no one was able to talk to the gnomes that actually knew what was going on with it.
No, unfortunately, no, because they were still passed the fuck out.
Yep.
The 2 wizards only know that the instructions are written on it. If they turn that key, then get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean the one that was still alive and kind of just out of it of sorts happened to also be underneath the statue that was obliterated by magic. So
Yep. Okay. Okay, good. I got the nuclear option. Cool.
you have the
Thanks.
launch codes at your disposal. You have the football cobalt.
You are the responsible one, after all.
Oh,
you
Christ.
have the football.
Okay. So we've
Well-
set up. Go ahead.
I'll wait until there's a lull. I'm just gonna do something like kind of off to the side while you guys are all doing this. So go ahead.
I was just gonna ask him for information, like how long does it look like we have left until she kind of rips through the rest of these barbarians?
Probably not too long. There's maybe like 1 or 2 left that are kind of putting up a fight, but like putting up a fight as much as like a puppy does when they want to play and like get you from going somewhere. And you're just kind of like, oh no, you're biting at my pant leg and stopping me from moving. That's basically like what's happening.
Is what was her name? Is the leader with them?
Fairlies Storm Rage? No.
How far away is Ebon Death from us?
No more than 40 feet.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to do this since they are relatively close and they can respond to me, thankfully. I am going to cast Message and point my finger at Ebon Death / Caligmutar. And in Draconic, I'm going to ask, what do you want here, Ebon Death?
And the mental reply you will hear from the dragon, kind of momentarily turning its focus towards you, is just cackling laughter.
Okay. So it just wants death and destruction. Got it. Okay.
Woo! Black Dragon!
I was really hoping it would be something specific because then I'd have something to work with. But I don't. Did I have I seen people now funneling out of the buildings around us or no?
Yes. Yeah, basically as you dispatched the guards and militia, some of them basically led the way and others effectively routed the people out of the area and then, kind of defended the flank as they moved through the streets towards the shrine.
Okay. So, I am fairly certain there is no one within a good range of us, yes?
As best as you can determine,
As best as I can.
the buildings within the proximity of the square are vacant,
Okay.
as far as you're aware.
Only like 4 invisible small children. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me. I'm thinking about that. Oh, God.
Just some sorcerers practicing their newfound invisibility powers.
Dilemmas for paladins. Yay.
I'm still going to hold on to the grenade for now, but I just wanted to get that information so I could understand. So if anyone else has
Totally.
anything they want to do before John decides to move on with whatever he's planning, go ahead, because I'm not going to launch this thing prematurely.
I'm tap my chest and use Mage Armor.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do the same for myself.
There's nothing like a premature launch. You just don't let it happen.
Happens every time.
No premature ejection.
All right.
Can I do my thing now?
Do your thing.
So while all of this is going on, how long would you say? Like minutes, 10 minutes?
2 to 5 minutes.
Okay. While this is all going on, I'm going to drop my bear form.
Okay.
And I would like to start, as soon as possible, ritual casting Commune with Nature.
Okay.
And I want to know... I don't know. I guess this would let me kind of figure that out. I want to know any influence from other planes. Powerful celestials, fays, fiends, elementals, or undead, which, there's going to be a ton of those.
Mhm.
And the other one is people. I want to kind of get a vague idea of how many people are near Ebon Death.
Okay. So in terms of the celestials, fae, undead, etc., you can sense a strong undead presence to the south as a single entity, as well as many that are lesser. You can also get the sense of no direct individuals or people within the square, so people have effectively vacated the area. You can feel that the only extra planar force, and I guess extra planar force is all I could really say to that. In the area is the kind of the tower and or the planar beacon link, And as far as like strong demonic or fiendish forces, etc., or whatever, you can tell that the spirit within Caligula is probably pretty bad.
Okay. So, as I learn all of that, and I stop, don't be mean to her. So as I finish communing, I'll get up and I'll kind of tap Knockers on the shoulder and nod down to the nuclear option in his hand, and just let him know that the square is relatively safe if it comes down to that.
Okay.
'Kay.
I nod in response.
I don't know how big the boom will be, but there are no people in the square.
Knowing the gnomes, it will be big enough.
Chaotic gnome.
Okay.
All right. Well, so having kind of formulated a sort of plan and buying the time for the civilians and or the militia to effectively escape from the area, Caligula has effectively eaten the remainder of her appetizer and is now just there with you, staring at you guys across the courtyard.
Only polite to wave toward your death.
And sensing that you are now effectively still standing there waiting, she will rear back onto her hind legs and will kind of beat her wings fiercely, rising into the air a little bit. And I would like everybody to please make a dex save for me.
2 in 1 game. Oh no. This does not bode well.
I am going to burn a charge, Junie, on my ring of evasion, so that fail turns into a success.
Okay. All right. So, all right. All right, so basically, Argo, Azzy, and Holly take 20 points of force damage, and you're knocked prone by about 15 feet backwards. As the gale force of the wings throwing air at you pushes you backwards and kind of slams you to the ground. The air genasi and our evading ring paladin get to take 10 damage and hold their footing. Or floating, depending.
Do I ever really touch the ground?
I mean,
You get bounced off of it
Yes,
sometimes.
you most definitely do.
so as I assume, Knight, you wanted to try to use a die or something to reroll your dex save, or did it just double tap mistakenly?
No, I was trying to see if I could succeed.
Fair enough. You did not, simply because you would have had to pass a 23. So, I mean, legendary dragons don't fuck around. I don't know what else to say.
No.
So, all right. So we start off there now with a couple of you still standing and some of you not to your feet, but you may begin your rounds determining who you would like to go first and in what order. I'm very open-ended here. It's basically all of you versus a dragon right now. So,
I cast Frostbolt at the dragon.
okay. Give it a shot.
Gotta make it Angie to stay here.
It's
Actually,
still-
am I still within 60 feet of it?
Yes. All right, so 25 for spell hit is a hit for 15 cold.
Yeah, and its speed is reduced by 10 till my next turn.
Very well. I don't know that that's going to play a big part in this particular battle royale,
Probably not, but
but, you know, so be it.
I also stand back up.
Okay. You're on your feet. Thus ends your turn. Who else would like to go?
Does standing back up take an action or a bonus action?
It would either
Half your
it would consume half your movement. So, considering that you get basically 40 movement naturally, and you can do your feline whatever, you theoretically could close the distance and get up if you utilize that to basically get all up on the dragon if you wanted to.
What if I help her up?
So you're on the ground too, so I don't know exactly how that works, but
Use my movement to get up and my action to help her up.
theoretically would work, I suppose, yeah. If you wanted to do that. If you wanted to consume your turn or whatever to basically do that, you could do that.
Would I then be able to use my bonus action to dash with her towards the beast?
So you would have to consume half your movement to stand. So you'd be at 30. If you would then try to dash, you could double that to 15 back to 30 again. So you could move 30 feet forward. I don't know that you would have enough to clear the distance that's associated to be able to reach it.
I was gonna say, doesn't dash also require an actual action?
It would
Yep.
be an action, yes.
Dash is an action.
Yes.
Yes,
My
it's a
bad.
bonus
My-
action for monks and rogues.
That's right. I'm sorry. Okay.
Which is fine because I have things I need to do to prep anyway. Okay, so standing up takes
Half your movement.
20 of my speed.
Yep.
So I'm gonna stand up. Feline agility. Where are you? Where is it?
Probably under
Oh, no.
traits somewhere, I think.
She's a smart kitty cat.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, that doubles my speed. So, can I stand up, use feline agility, get to the dragon? What does that leave me with for actions?
You could still take an action because feline agility, I think, is just a like bonus you can consume. I don't think it casts an action to utilize. It's just once.
Yeah,
per
it's
long
no
rest or something.
action.
Right.
So I, in theory, have an action and a bonus action, or no?
Yep. Because neither of the things that you did require to stand up and or use that required an action or a bonus action.
Okay. Then when I get to the dragon, I am going to rage.
Right.
Let's also see if I can do this again. Might not be able to. Bonus action rage, and then we'll use my action to wild shape into my bear. I can get, that's fine. I can get away. And then I will roar angrily at this giant dragon. And that's all I can do. So
Some Skyrim bear actions up in here.
Exactly.
I will get my hackles up all threateningly, and I will stand on my 2 feet and be as menacing as possible in front of this dragon.
Give it the oh heck.
The rules lawyer in me just wants to ask: do bears have hackles?
They do, in fact, have hackles.
Yes. They have hackles.
You learn something new every day.
Well, hack me up. All right.
Hackle me, dragon mommy.
All right. Who else would like to perform an action?
If you need me to get out of there, Colt, whenever you need to throw that grenade, you let me know.
I will. I'm still thinking about what I should do, so I'm probably gonna go last because I'm trying to figure out what my options are here.
As he's going to get up and he's going to reposition to in front of Argo and act as a barrier in case another buffet comes through.
Okay, fair enough.
think Blackwind would just launch an Eldritch Blast volley over there at the dragon.
Okay, pew pew.
Yeah, 3 of them. And the last one.
Nice.
Hell yeah!
All right, so
220s in tonight already.
yep.
I
so
like that shit.
all of them are hits. Obviously, the crit is a crit for 18, 27, 34 damage total.
Nice. So, and then Blackwind will move back behind the more tanky people
Okay.
because she has the capability of extreme range. So,
Like spell sniping without actually sniping.
yes, without actually having the spell sniper feat. So,
Very well. That leaves one of you.
Me. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to use my bonus action to consume a potion of greater healing.
Okay.
Okay, and that heals me for 16. I am then going to charge forward. Which, how close are they to me?
So you were roughly like 35, 40 feet away from the dragon.
Yep.
If you're going to charge forward, basically Holly is kind of the only one that's close to the dragon.
Okay.
The next closest person is like halfway, which is Azzy, who's basically blocking or standing in front of Argo.
Okay. Since I was able to succeed, I'm in between Holly and Azzy, essentially, for distance.
Correct.
Okay. And how far away is Eben Death Caligu from me?
About 35, 40 feet. We'll call it 40 for the sake of consistent accuracy.
Okay. I can't do the thing I want to do at this point, so I will instead cast Bane at Eben Death. Can you have it make a charisma saving throw for me, please?
I most certainly can do that. That was you rolling Bane. I thought that was my thing finally rolling.
No.
All right, so rolled.
Save DC is 17.
Save DC 17 is a pass.
Okay.
With a whopping +4 to charisma.
Okay. That's my turn since I can't get up to it in the thing I wanted to do. I wasn't able to because I'm not within range yet.
Very well. All right. Thus ends your rounds of combat. Everyone go ahead and give me a d20, please. All right, so Argo, go ahead and give me a dex save, please. All right, so you take half, so that will be 14 points of lightning damage. And then Caligmatar will take up a frightening stance. And each creature within a 120-foot distance of the dragon has to pass a wisdom save or become frightened.
I think I want to use one of my luck points to reroll that.
Sure, go ahead.
I don't know how close I am.
If it's like the wind thing, you think you might have passed. I'm not sure if it might be different.
Yeah, let's
Went
see.
from a 6 to a 6. We're doing good.
Woo!
I'm gonna use another one.
Okay, that's fine.
If it's a fucking 6, I swear to God, I'm just gonna take this grenade and just kamikaze into this fucking dragon.
All right, well that's not
Wow.
that's not any better. Okay. All right, so Blackwind and Nokris, you succeed and you are not scared. Everyone else is frightened by this bellowing roar of a presence that Caligmatar unleashes before spewing a torrent
Yep.
of breath across the courtyard. So, the breath weapon is, go ahead and make Constitution saves for me, please.
Question about this breath weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like something that I must inhale in order to be affected?
No.
Oh darn! I thought I could cheat my way around this because I don't have to breathe.
No.
Unfortunately, it's basically like a bunch of
Corrosive.
Corrosive
Yeah.
poison.
It's just kind of thrown
Poison,
at
that's
you.
the weirdest word of the term.
Damn.
Also, I want to say now, Argo did not go leaping headfirst into anything this time.
This is very true. I concur. You
true.
did well. You didn't.
For
You
now.
didn't do the thing.
For now.
Oh no, there
Life's
won't be a
not
for
over.
now. There's not about to be a for now.
Okay. All right. I assume everyone has rolled now, correct? I'm just putting-
Correct.
Now everybody's rolled.
Okay, so the save pass roll is a 22.
Fuck.
Nobody passed it.
Nope.
So you are hit with a wave of necrotic damage as it is possessed by a black dragon spirit
Yep.
I take half that.
for 78 damage.
Never
Oh,
mind, I'm unconscious.
Like 7, the lowercase d8 damage, or
No.
like
No.
like 7 followed by an 8 damage.
Yeah.
Which
Give
is
me a
like
sec.
a lot for a lot of people.
Yep.
I'm down. I wouldn't have been if I had passed because I also resist necrotic as part of my wicked thing, but that didn't help this time.
Oh, Wait.
Okay,
resist
good. It's not
necrotic?
instant death.
Yeah.
It is
So-
it is not an instant death for as far
Are
as
you
I could tell from checking
sure
everyone.
You're doing your math right?
It's not an instant death.
Yeah. I was only at 28.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That
I'm
makes
also
more sense now.
unconscious.
I was just a bit too low for it to help.
Fair enough. All right, so the casters are currently down,
Yep.
Yep.
but
TPK.
that ends the round of the dragon. So now it is your guys' turn.
Okay. I'm going to move so that I am within range of Caligmatar now.
Mhm.
I am going for the nuclear option, so I'm going to take out the grenade, turn the key in, insert the key in it, and turn it 3 times. And my question is, Junie,
Mhm.
am I? do I think I am able to pitch this thing into its mouth?
Based upon its current posture and what it just did, you theoretically think that you could, but it would need some acrobatic skill probably to get the angling correct to make sure that you deliver.
Okay, so it'd have to be acrobatics.
Yeah, your target would not be so large that it would be nearly impossible to miss at the range that you're at.
Okay. Okay, and I can't do the other option I wanted because I got slammed by so much damage, so can't do that. Okay, I am going to then, I guess, throw this thing so that it is underneath her, so most of the blast goes up into Caligmutar, and as I do that, I am going to scream, "Hit the deck!" And with that, I am then going to... Is there a building within, like, 20 feet of me that I can kind of see?
Not exactly, but there is a well that you could try to hide behind if you want to dive behind the masonry.
Well, yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to
Okay.
throw this thing so that it gets underneath them so that it's there, and then I'm going to use my bonus action of Misty Escape to then take cover behind that well as best as I can, because I can't take anyone with me when I do this.
Okay.
But I at least gave the warning, and
Fair
I got
enough.
as close as I could to make sure I could get it as succinctly as possible, where the blast will mostly hopefully hit them, and because I don't know how long this thing is going to go before it blows up.
I throw myself over Argo's unconscious body and protect ourselves with as much of the shield as I possibly can.
Okay.
Blackwind's nowhere near us, right?
I'm way back.
Yeah,
So-
she's way
Pretty much.
As long as I'm
inside.
within 120 feet of said dragon, I'm within range.
Um,
Which I'm assuming the grenade does not have an explosion radius of 120 feet.
It
So-
does not have an explosion radius of 120 feet, but it does have an explosion radius.
What kind of punk ass names were these? I would go full attack.
I guess the question is, do you need me to roll anything, Junie?
I will get to that. I just want to make sure that no one else is trying to make any reactionary moments or uses or anything else before we get to the good
Okay.
stuff.
I am dropping Wild Shape and using Feline Agility to book it the fuck out of there, my full 80 feet.
All right, so you're now 80 feet away from the dragon. Argo is currently down and is, shielded and or covered by Azzy's body. Blackwind is down, but is pretty far back as well. And Nokris is currently now tucking and covering behind him well as best as possible. So,
Yeah.
The grenade
Is that 11 a save for the death save? I can't remember.
is 11 a save, yes.
Yes, it is.
How do I
You have to
roll it
10
on
or more.
Beyond 20?
If you go onto the death save portion, there will be a small die in between the saves and successes when you pull up the actual info for death saves.
Oh, because I clicked on the death save part and then
Your
it's
damage
not-
your health has to be at 0 on Beyond 20 before you get the option to do it.
I did that. I ticked it all the way
So
up.
then
to...
hit refresh on the character page because it just might not have updated potentially in your tab.
Unless it thinks I'm dead because I put so much damage on there.
That shouldn't be the case.
Yeah. So
Let me refresh. I'll refresh the sheet version that I have up for you. Yeah, so in the top for where the HP is on mine, I now see failures and success for death saves instead of your HP.
yeah.
Okay. So if you see that, and you click on where it says failure or success, it should pop out an HP management tab from the side.
Mm-hmm.
Then you should be able to... Where's the dice roll for this, Argo?
It was in between the fail and success, just like a small red die right in the middle.
Yeah, I don't have
see it on
that.
mine. Maybe my add-on updated and it didn't restart. Beyond 20. Nope, should be loaded.
It's not there for me anymore. It
That's
was there
weird.
the one time.
All right, well, you can just roll, I guess. We'll just
It's
roll.
just a D20, right?
Yeah, D20.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just a straight D20. You have to get a 10 or higher.
Okay. So 19, I guess.
You are a pass. Yep.
And on that note, real quick, since I have things that I can do now, even though I am unconscious, I'm going to use my Defy Death feature to basically regain some hit points real quick.
Okay.
So that costs me absolutely no action. Plus my Constitution modifier, which is 0, so I get 4 hit points back and I'm no longer a 0.
Cool.
Oh yeah, can I second wind as well?
I guess technically you could as a bonus action to your movement and everything else that you did. I'd allow it.
Sorry, just take that first one.
All good. All right, are we all situated now and good and ready for the continuation?
Can I still hit myself with False Life real quick? Give myself some temporary hit points?
I mean, if you want to, I guess
Yeah.
I guess I can allow that.
Sweet. So 7 temp. And then I'm good. So yeah.
All right, so everyone ducking, covering, reviving, coming back to life, breathing once more,
Realizing, oh shit.
figuring out that shit is about to go down.
Yeah.
You note the small, oddly rainbow metallic object hurled and beep beep underneath the dragon, sitting there for a couple seconds before a majestic display of brilliant, fiery light erupts from underneath it. It takes
22 damage.
It failed that first check, so it takes 26 fire damage, which it is not resistant to.
Oh, okay. Okay, gnomes, you definitely did a number. I know what you
The
did.
the
Not sure
next
I liked it.
the next odd kind of effect that you see kind of coming out of this brilliant fiery haze are these streaks of electric energy.
Yup. God damn it.
Caligulator
Yes, they did
takes
what you think they did.
takes
Just-
18 points of lightning damage. And now the fun part. So, it is also stunned from the lightning damage. So, Nokris, I need
Mhm.
you
oh boy.
to roll for me.
Okay.
Hold on, I didn't mean to do that. I just overwrote my tab. I need you to roll for me. Let's see if that actually comes up correctly. I just told it to display something in the chat. Hello. There it goes. Oh, it just did it twice, maybe.
Yup.
Nope, there it is.
Damn it.
Go ahead and roll some D100s for me. Three
How many?
times. 3 times, please.
Oh
Knew
no.
it. I knew it. I knew it. I fucking knew it as soon. Okay. First one is a 21.
So a 21 corresponds with the spell of Detect Thoughts. If you did not target a creature, you would take psychic damage. However, you did. So from your spell of Detect Thoughts, you have effectively been able to detect the intention of this particular dragon, and you have discerned that their focus and their being in the town currently is targeted at the House of Thalvar.
Okay. All right. Next one. 9.
A 9. The dragon is hit by the spell of Fairy Fire.
Fire. Okay.
So it basically can no longer be invisible,
Yep.
and you're able to see it.
Okay.
pretty
We
much.
also get some other cool stuff.
It basically has a bunch of different. It basically is illuminated in the color light of your choice, and that anyone within the light of the fairy fire has to do a dex save. Otherwise, you are similarly affected by it, and that any attack roll against the creature is considered with advantage.
Yeah. So that's actually not bad.
Yes, that's why I was like,
Yeah. It's gonna be a bright neon orange, one that would, make their eyes just
It's really pop.
close in horror. You can only
enough.
see themselves. Okay, and one more you said?
One more.
48.
A 48 corresponds to
Nice, please.
a cloud of 600 oversized butterflies comes down and fills a 30-foot radius in the blast around the dragon.
This, unfortunately, is just the natural things of a wand of wonder.
And the area is now heavily obscured from sight. For 10
Yep, which
minutes.
means it can't see us.
Correct.
Doesn't need to see.
Yes, it does. It most certainly does, because it needs to aim things.
Ladies and gentlemen, the nuclear option.
Also, the
that
other
it?
thing, just be glad I did not roll a 50.
Right,
I'd have enlarged the thing.
right. And even 50 would have really sucked. Well, I guess technically you could have made it a reduction instead of an enlarge.
Oh, I could have
It gives you
reduced
the
it,
option,
too.
but
Yes,
No,
it
it
does.
doesn't.
you
Yeah,
enlarge
it
the
says
target.
you cast
Oh, I'm sorry, you
enlarge
enlarge the
or
target. Sorry. I just saw the spell that was associated with it. But yes, that would have been probably bad.
Yeah.
If you rolled a 66 to a 69, nice. You would have shrunk.
Yeah. Yeah. A wand of wonder is it's something.
I'm extremely underwhelmed right now. I was
I know.
expecting sparks and death and.
I mean, you had sparks and fire. You just also had butterflies.
I almost died to get this bomb,
Yep.
and all it did was make butterflies.
Hey, we don't know what these
Argo,
butterflies
I know
may or
that.
may not do, okay?
well, I guess our campaign starting at level 14 is now revenge on Nomengard for their stupid bullshit grenade.
We are the dragon.
As soon as it did the first two things, I thought, okay, maybe they built it as like a prismatic spray. But
That's
no,
what I was thinking.
that's what I thought. Yep, but no,
Like,
it's and then all of a sudden he's like
Prismatic
D100s. I'm like, god damn it. Okay.
All right. So the grenade went off, and it was like a ooh and a ah. Now there's butterflies everywhere, and they're kind of big. But also, it's now everyone's turn to recoil and figure out what the fuck just happened. The dragon is currently stunned, by the way, in the middle of this ball of butterflies.
Okay. With that, having seen what's going on, I'm going to curse very loudly in Draconic and scream, "Goddamn fucking gnomes and their idiotic invention!" And I'm going to cast.
Do it, do the thing, do the thing.
I'm going to heal myself first because I hurt. I am going to cast a 5th level Cure Wounds on myself.
Okay.
I heal for 27.
Very well.
And that's my action. And then as my bonus action, I will chug my last potion of greater healing.
Bottoms up. Nice.
Heal another 17. Okay. And then I will... The dragon so far is stunned. I know its intention is to get to the House of Thalavar. With my detect thoughts, was I able to understand why it wants to get there?
let me go back and verify and just double check that whole thing. But I
Yeah.
don't know that.
I think it might just be surface thoughts too. Which, if that's the case, that's more than enough that it wants to get to the House of Thalvar.
So you initially learn the surface thoughts of a creature. What is most said spawn at the moment? As an action, you can either shift your attention to another creature's thoughts or attempt to probe deeper in the same creature's mind. If you probe deeper, the target must make a wisdom save. If it fails, you can basically figure out its reasoning, if any, and emotional state.
Okay.
So,
Okay, which I use my action to cast my spell, so I can't do
Right.
that.
Right.
Okay. That's fine, but how long does that last for me?
It lasts for 1 minute as a duration.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Mhm.
Who am I nearby anyone or no? From where I am, relative.
You're probably at closest. You're probably like 20 feet away from like Azzy and Argo.
Okay.
And Holly kind of booked ass, but she's probably a little farther past.
Right. Okay. When they shot that breath weapon, Junie, was it like in a straight line or did it kind of fan out across the battlefield?
The cone.
Okay. Fuck. Okay. At this particular moment, if I'm probably far enough away that it's gonna hit everyone anyway, or at least most people. I can see that Argo is down from where I am, correct? All right,
Yep.
then I'm going to use my movement to start making my way towards her because I can see that Blackwind is up, correct? From where I am,
Yes.
and that they are suddenly like,
Desperate need of
what the
healing.
hell was that? Okay, so I'm going to start making my way immediately towards Argo because I can see that she's down and probably bleeding pretty badly. And that is all of my turn. My action, my bonus action, and my movement.
Okay.
Because I will get to her, but I can't do anything yet.
Who would like to do things?
I'm gonna stay hunkered down behind whatever pile of junk I hid behind, and I am going to cast a Cure Wounds level 1 on myself.
Okay.
And also chug a healing potion.
Double fisting.
And my potions are here somewhere. Oh boy! Great.
Woo!
I'm just gonna stay hunkered down where I am.
Very well.
I'm gonna kind of keep an ear out for any instructions from anybody else. And that's just gonna be my turn.
All right. Who else would like to do something?
How far away am I approximately? What is your approximation there, DM San?
Your distance of approximation from my best guess is probably about 80 feet currently.
From Dragon?
From Dargan.
From Dargan. Got it. Okay, cool. In that case, I'm going to move 20 feet closer.
Okay.
And then I'm going to cast Enervation at the dragon.
All right.
You remember the dragon is technically heavily obscured by butterflies.
I don't need to make an attack roll. It needs to make a saving throw.
Okay. I'm just reminding everyone that thing, there's like a bunch of oversized butterflies in a 30-foot radius just obscuring the area.
This is
us
my only
and
option to heal myself, so...
No, I gotcha.
David,
All right.
heal me.
So technically, it's in a cloud of butterflies. it is also stunned, so it doesn't really have the ability to react to try to dodge, so it fails your dexterity save. Gets plunked. What damage type is that? It's
Necrotic. That's the part where I was like, yeah.
Yep. Duly noted.
Okay.
Okay.
The next part. How much necrotic damage did it take? Actually, I need to know this.
How
Per the
do you-
last paragraph of the spell. Whenever the spell deals damage to a target, you regain hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage the target takes.
So you can gain half of the amount of damage the dragon took, which is the 23 damage. So half of that is what you're able to gain.
Okay. So 11. Yeah. Gotcha. Yay, I'm not at 4 hit points anymore. Oh.
I remember when I had hit points.
All right, so 2 people remain.
Yep.
I scoop Argo up into my arms after I sheathe my sword, and I book it for the nearest building.
Very well.
And I failed my death save, so it's 1 success, 1 fail.
Okay.
Once there, if taking an action is still an option, I'd like to use medicine, I guess, or attempt to stabilize.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
As I don't believe I have any more potion.
Very well.
Ooh, I have a regular potion of healing, so I pour that down her throat.
It's greater than 0.
Yep.
So 2d4 plus 2. So there you go.
Argo breathes new life yet again out of a bubbling, potentially choking swarm of healing potion.
Is the dragon dead?
Nope.
So, among the roiling mass of butterflies flapping violently, you hear the kind of disgruntled groans of a dragon that is kind of regaining its semblance on the world as it was just violently shook. And that's all it can do. So, everyone go ahead and roll a d20 for me. Except for Argo and Azzy. Because they are currently indoors.
Building.
All right, so Nokris, you are in fact the winner of this chicken dinner.
Okay. I'm going to burn another charge on my Ring of Evasion.
To just dodge it.
Succeed. Yep,
Succeed the check.
succeed.
Okay, so then
Yeah.
the 23 points of damage in turn hits Kalimantar.
Oh, okay. I will accept. I don't have to take damage now? Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess technically it's kind of like you succeeded the check, more or less, about the lightning strike. So I will invoke that it in fact then hits the lower
Well,
of
I make the
targets.
dexterity save.
Right.
Okay.
But I will evoke the target of the spell to be a different target. So thus, it is now the top of the order again. So you all are able to do something if you wish.
Bonus action. I'm gonna use one of my 5 greater potions healing.
Okay. Packing that heat.
As he's next to her. Chug, chug, chug.
And next, I'ma look up to an individual of all these weird butterflies, and I'ma just send a fireball with my wand at it.
That's a very natural response. Whenever I see a cloud of butterflies, I also throw fireballs at them. So,
I'ma use 2 charges for a 4th level.
okay. Go ahead and roll. So, from the window of one of the buildings, you see some fireballs kind of blast outward into the courtyard, streaking towards this mass of roiling butterflies. And sensing imminent danger and no longer being stunned, Kiligmitatar leaps into the air above the mass of butterflies, evading your fireball strikes, which then, basically kill all the butterflies because poor little guys.
Oh, that's where the dragon is.
Butterflies.
And Kiligmitatar effectively then takes flight after said leap and begins to glide and rise towards the tower, leaving you in the courtyard of the town square once more by yourselves.
So as an action, as part of my action, I am going to try and I want to dive deeper and figure out and see if they fail so I can figure out exactly what they're doing and why they're going to the House of Thalabar.
Okay. I don't know if you actually have to make a roll or if it's against the spell attack of the spell. What's your spell attack?
My spell save DC?
Or your spell attack in your sorcery stuff if you were to cast an
Well,
offensive
that's what I'm
spell.
asking. Is it my spell attack roll is like a +9? But my spell save DC is a 17.
So let's just say it's either, because it didn't pass the 17, and I'm assuming that the +9 is going to be greater than that.
Okay, yeah, because the +9 would be if I'm throwing like a firebolt at it or something.
Right.
Okay.
Which the way I'm interpreting would basically be the effect of you cast the grenade. So
Okay.
we snapshot all of your stats basically for the grenade's impact of the spells.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to just roll the d20 for
Sure.
my spell attack?
Yep.
Okay. Not 20.
So, like I said,
Yeah. Okay.
so as it is rising, you can sense within its thoughts that its probed mind and intention, what it is seeking currently, is the Ruin Stone.
I am okay.
Good fucking luck, Chuck.
We did take it out. I am going, as I do that and I kind of snap back from that, I am going to scream, "It wants the Ruin Stone!" I don't know for what, but it wants it!
I'm gonna use my 30 feet of movement to head towards the tower once he says that, then.
Yeah, I'm going to get up, battered, and start making my way towards the House of Thalabar. And as I do that, I'm going to burn 2 sorcery points to cast a spell as a bonus action and cast a 4th level healing spell on myself.
Very well.
That's right.
Seeing everyone start to run off, Holly kind of sighs, leans her head back against whatever she's leaning up against. She's gonna groan, get herself up on her feet, and take off after him.
Very well. So, having effectively turned back, or at least, theoretically, I guess, routed the dragon temporarily of sorts, you have inspired the defenders of the town and have bolstered their effective defenses. You make your way, everyone having kind of figured out exactly what just happened and where it is currently going. You make chase and begin the pursuit towards the house of Thalvar. You hear additional sounds of battle and the continued rumble and lightning strikes from the clouds above. And you make your way up the kind of winding path to the foot of the house. Upon reaching it, you see up above, perched now on one of the various roofs of the tower, Caligmatar, squatting there, currently fighting with something that appears to be ghostly apparitions. You recognize the shape of a dwarf, of a half-elf, of 2 humans, and of a halfling. Effectively, ghostly battling with this dragon, now perched on the roof.
Oh no, is Granny Talia up there fighting with them too? That's sad. I don't want to play this game anymore.
I don't know. I can neither confirm nor deny the current happenings up there. I suppose is the way I'll throw that. Okay, so as you arrive at the house, because of prior success throughout the events unfolding within the town of Leyland, one of the warriors you see up ghosts on the rooftops, a dark-skinned woman dressed in chainmail, swings her sword at the dragon. And you see the beast howl in pain for a moment, recoiling, as a spectral form of another dragon seethes underneath the surface of the skin. The woman glances down at you and readies for her next strike. "To arms!" she shouts. "Leyland needs you." And so you find yourselves racing up the tower in the House of Thalvar to meet with your ghostly friends on the roof in battle with the dragon.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely running up there.
Well, I just want to say, knock on wood, I think things will go well because I did a quick drawing, so we're good. Good signs.
As long as that drawing wasn't for Evan.
No, it was not.
Do I have time as we're going up this tower, Junie, to hit everyone with a cure wounds of some type?
Sure. It has to be. That's a touch spell, yes?
It's touch, yes.
Yeah. So basically, let's just say that you're, giving everyone a good game slap as they run up the stairs.
Okay. So I'm going to do. Let's see now. All right. I am going to burn all of my 3rd level spell slots to cast at least 3 of these like this. So the first one will go to Argo. So you're healed for 13. Next will be Azzy. You are healed for 19. And then the last 3rd level will go to. It will go to Blackwind. They get 14. And then I will burn my last 4th level slot to heal Holly with it for 28.
High five.
A holy high five.
It's a much more comfortable number.
Sadly, I am not a cleric.
All right, so
We've had 2 of those.
as you arrive on the rooftop, seeing the current scene unfold, you see members of this ghostly band all dressed in a similar garb, one that you recognize to be of the Swords of Leyland, currently embattled with the dragon, seeing you join their forces. And this is an interesting element that you guys will get to utilize during your strategy of combat for the upcoming battle. But during each of your rounds, because of prior interactions with the swords and your successes here in the battle, you get 3 advantages to distribute among your players from the aid of the Swords of Leyland during this combat for each round.
Okay.
So effectively, you get to distribute 3 advantage rolls however you would like, wherever you would like, throughout this combat because of their presence.
Okay.
I would suggest we give those advantage rolls to the people in our party who can actually hit this thing with fire, because we know that it's fire vulnerable. So if we have people who need advantage checks on fire, then
I won't need one because I'm gonna make this thing my target, and I'm going to get advantage on it. So
But the melee people use them since I can use just saving throws on it instead. And you guys
So-
get a pretty good bonus if it's an advantage for
so
in melee.
one will go to Kita and one will go to Knight. It sounds like.
And then I can take the 3rd, because I can do Eldritch Blast, which
Sure.
requires an attack roll. So
that's fine.
All right, well, champions of Leyland, do battle. It's your turn. Go ahead and do your thing.
I have a question.
I have an answer.
Is this creature large?
Yes.
It is in fact sized as large.
It is sized as gargantuan,
Yeah, this thing's fucking big.
which means it is beyond large.
2
Just
steps
making
above.
sure. Because if it was large, that affects what I can do to it.
Okay. It is gargantuan, so that probably definitely affects what you can do to it.
Go ahead.
But I think I understand what you're going for, and I like where your head's at.
You can grapple one of its claws.
Kind of wish I'd saved that potion of enlarging now. I wonder if that would have upped my size limitations on that.
I feel like it probably would have, but
Yeah, but what's it up by? Like, because if I'm
one size.
medium,
So if you're normal
but you go to
size, you're
large.
medium, you'd become large. And a large
But-
to gargantuan is the next iteration, I believe.
I thought it was large to huge to gargantuan.
Maybe
It's
yeah, you might
large,
be right.
huge,
There's-
gargantuan,
Okay.
colossal.
Colossal isn't a thing anymore in 5e.
Oh, it isn't?
It stops at Gargantuan.
Yeah, they did
Ah.
away with it.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm
Begin.
gonna open up with a first level just magic missile at it while backing up against
Okay.
a wall behind everybody.
All right, very well. All right, so we got 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then bonus action, I'm a pop a potion.
Chugging it.
I regret not having potions now.
That's okay.
Maybe you can use an action to take one off my belt. I end my turn.
All right, very well. Who would like to go next?
I think the black one would like to go next.
Okay, very well.
So first thing she's gonna do is cast Hex at the dragon. So, pew. Ignore the damage bit. I'll get to that when I actually need to roll. So,
Yep. And what stat are you going against?
Strength.
Okay, so it is now disadvantaged in the ways of strength.
Which is probably its biggest advantage against us, that or Constitution. But anyways,
It's a pretty close match between the two, but yeah.
And then she will cast Eldritch Blast.
Very well.
So first one, I'll take the advantage on.
Go ahead.
Or you know what? No, I didn't actually hit advantage on that. So let's see, 24 to hit.
Is a hit.
Okay, so 12 force, and then an extra d6 necrotic. So I'll just click the roll thing there.
For 5. Okay, so
'Cause Hex.
17 for that first one.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me double check something on Hex. I want to make sure it actually activates more than once per round. Whenever you hit it with an attack. Okay, cool. So second Eldritch Blast.
Mm-hmm.
Actually use the advantage this time, because why not? Cool.
Is a miss.
The
As he
20?
sighs.
Just skids across the scales.
All right, well there went my advantage. Shit. All right, I got
Found
one
out
more
some
Eldritch
very
Blast.
valuable information there.
All right.
It is per round, you said, correct, Junie?
Correct, it's per round.
Yeah.
And a 15 is also a miss.
Damn, like incrementally increasing rolls there, and it's like, damn.
I know what I'm going to do.
All right,
So-
next person, I guess.
I am going to draw my greatsword as a bonus action. I am going to enact my vow of enmity, and I'm going to kind of point my blade at Ebon Death's spectral form, I guess, as it's kind of cleaving from Caligula in some sense because of all the stuff the ghosts are doing with each other. And I'm just going to say to it in Draconic, "You have earned my vow of vengeance. You will die this day for good." And I am then, so I now have advantage on it, and then I am going to use my action to cast a second level bless.
Okay. See if everyone would like to enjoy the benefits of some additional rolls.
Yep, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of second level or higher, I can target one additional creature. So I'm going to target myself, Azzy, Holly, and Blackwind. So we all have a D4 on our saving throws and our attack rolls.
Sweet.
And then I will use my move action to start to make my way towards Ebon, Death Caligula, Matar, and get ready so that I am in position for next time.
Old Ebon Bones. Yep. All right,
Yep.
very well. And that leaves 2 more of you.
Is this thing even in range for me to hit it?
So where you have currently come out onto the roof, it's basically like the roof is effectively a span of about 20, 30 feet. It's available on this section. So you have the capacity to get to it, to hit it within your turn, within your normal movement.
I'm gonna do it.
All right.
I'm gonna run up on it and I'm just gonna start swinging.
Okay.
Because I don't got no more wild shapes left. So
I started blasting.
So I start
Now-
blasting.
does my advantage it's per turn, so does that include both of my attack rolls?
It should only be your first attack roll.
Okay.
That blesses all your attack rolls, though.
And yes, you can use bless on every one of your swings.
Then I will do that. Because that first one, bonus action, of course, I would like to rage before
Right.
I go.
So the first swing is a hit for
Mhm.
the 13. So let me mark that down. The second one, if you would like to roll for your bless, but I don't think it'll save you.
It's
is
I'll
a
just keep
miss.
the bless. It's not gonna do anything.
Is a miss.
Okay, that's it. I'll just stand here and
Be mad.
be angry.
I guess that leaves me.
That in fact does leave you.
Features, trades, class features. I charge forward and make my attack. And I actually do charge forward. I don't know if that matters. Like
Nope.
I'm using
That's
it as
cool.
a charge attack. So
All good.
I'll roll for attack.
With advantage, remember? For at least for the first one.
Yep, and you have a D4 on all of them.
So your first attack is a hit.
Okay. I'm going to expend a superiority dice.
Okay.
So add 8 to that.
All right. So that's a total of 17.
And I need it to give me a wisdom saving throw, save of 16.
It passes.
Fuck. Alright, I'll attack again.
Okay. Remember, this one does not have advantage. Is a hit.
I'm going to do the same thing,
Okay.
and I need that saving throw again.
Is a pass. So it's 11 points of damage from your initial hit and an additional 1 from your superiority.
Correct. And it's a 15 hit. Plus, what my D4, right? No. And lots of ones
It
for
will
me
not-
tonight.
It would not have made a difference.
All right, then. That's that.
Okie doke.
Actually, I lied. Action surge.
Let's do it all again. You just won't have advantage, but yeah, you can do your thing.
22.
Is a hit.
All right. We'll save them.
Is a miss. Is a hit.
Great.
Okay.
That is my turn.
All right, very well. So, on the dragon's turn, currently seeing the individuals laid before them, they take a wild swipe at one of the ghostly figures with their claws. And you see that they do successfully land a hit on this ghost. However, the ghost remains in spiritual form and does not blink out of existence or lose shape in any way. And everyone go ahead and roll a d20 for me. Okay. I had to roll the correct number for the number of my individuals on the roof. All right, so everybody is higher than Kiligmatar. So Kiligmatar is the target of the bolt.
Bum, bitch.
And they do not successfully evade, so they take 24 points of lightning being struck. on the rooftop, nonetheless. You guys get to go from the top. As the ghostly apparitions continue to, basically, you see them, taking pot shots and swinging at this, and you see whenever they land a strike that kind of the shape or the form of Ebon Death's spirit within kind of ripples out of the form of Caligmatar and then resumes back inside, almost as if every strike is kind of like jolting the spirit out of the body.
I cast Bless on Knock. I cast Haste on
Haste.
Knockers.
Okay, gotta go fast.
Surprise! I was a cleric the whole time.
I gain +2 bonus. I have advantage on dexterity saving throws, and I gain additional attack.
Yep.
Okay. 1 weapon attack. Okay, cool. Um,
I'll move a bit to where I'm more directly behind a few of the bigger people to block
Okay, very well.
any direct hits.
You put some meat in front of you. I got you.
how close am I to Caligmatar's physical body, I guess I should say?
You're within striking distance.
Okay. I just want to see, because I think a lot of my stuff is concentration minus like one thing. Yeah, okay. A lot of my stuff is that, so well, actually, I'll do this. So let me just double check on that really quickly. Okay, and that's 1 round. Okay. So I'll use my bonus action, and I will burn 2 sorcery points to quicken a spell. And I am going to cast Blade Ward on myself.
Okay.
And I have resistance now against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapon attacks until the end of the turn. Until the end of the round, basically.
Right.
And then I'm going to attack this thing and get all up in its face. So I am going to begin my actions. Going to roll. I have advantage, so roll.
Yep.
That's going to be a miss, even with the D4.
Mm-hmm.
So going to roll again.
Mm-hmm. That's looking good.
There we go. Okay. So it's going to take the 14 plus 9, which is 23. I'm also, everyone's favorite thing, I'm going to Divine Smite this thing with my last 5th level slot. Junie, I have a
Yes.
question for you.
I probably have an answer. Yep.
Is this thing still alive, or is it considered undead at this point?
It is still living. So
Okay.
Caligmatar is still a corporeal form, and that's
Okay.
basically what you're able to strike at.
That's what I'm striking. Okay, I figured, but just wanted to ask. So that means then I will roll 10d8. Because thank God for Divine Smite being able to crit. It takes an additional 52 points of radiant damage.
Yep.
And then I will do my final swing of my sword from haste that I have.
Is a hit.
Okay, and then I will burn another spell slot and Divine Smite again. And I will use my last 2nd level slot to do this.
Okay.
This is the new.
This is the
weren't
nuclear option.
We weren't talking about throwing a grenade earlier. We were talking about throwing knockers.
You don't have the nuclear option. You are the nuclear option.
Yep. And so I deal an extra 12 points of radiant damage on top of the 11 slashing.
All right, so 23.
And that is effectively my turn.
All right.
Count this out real quick. Can we count this out real quick? So 23 plus 52 is 75 plus 23.
23. Yeah, it's
You did
98.
98 points of fucking damage.
Paladins
so-
Nova very hard.
So the aftermath of your assault. You see Caligmiatar effectively turn into a face of exhaustion, and you see a glimmer and a moment in their eyes of kind of realization or kind of like regain of control. Their pupils kind of recontract rather than being in this dead state gaze that they were before.
Mm-hmm.
And the form of the dragon basically tips sideways, falling off of the roof, crashing down in a pile of rubble in the street that we previously had known as the Peculiarities Shop.
Oh no.
Holly is much more worried about her dragon friend.
Throw my doorknob at it.
Nice. Very nice.
And my thunder can.
All right,
the
so-
thunder. I don't throw that. Never mind.
So, all right, so the dragon, now having crash landed off of the roof into the Peculiarities Shop in the streets below, reducing the building to a pile of broken masonry bits.
Isn't that what he was already selling anyways?
I mean,
You
So-
just made the man have an increased inventory.
so you note as well that the swords of Leyland are now mysteriously no longer present with you on the roof. But far below, you see the battered and bleeding body of the dragon, covered with arrows and cuts of various types, struggling to reclimb to its feet. You race down from the tower to confront the dragon before it has a chance to flee. As you approach and near the dragon, it seeing you and fearing, you see the specter of Ebondeth emerge and depart from Caligmiatar's body, taking to the skies and flying to the south, fading out of your sight. The dragon slumps down among the rubble, exhausted, yet still breathing and conscious.
So it is not dying.
It, I mean, technically kind of is dying, but
Like
it's
game statistics wise, is it dying?
it's severely hurt.
Okay.
It would not die on its own currently. And so you come upon Caligmiatar, and you are given the option from the dragon, exhaustedly begging for its life in surrender. If you were to release it back to its home, where it will never again bother the Sword Coast, or you can choose to end its life here in the streets.
Absolutely not.
I'd say let it go.
You have to remember that Caligmiatar is in fact still evil, albeit evil with a conscience.
So what was your absolutely not towards Kita specifically?
We're not killing the dragon. That's my friend.
Okay.
Oh, I was like absolutely not living. I'm like, shit, the barbarian druid fucking bloodthirsty.
I mean, when you
Oh,
rage, you
no.
rage.
Yeah.
I cast Disintegrate already.
Argo trips and cast Disintegrate.
Two things. I want to judge the sincerity of its promise, and I also do want to, since the body is still the one that the grenade targeted, is the detect thought still up or no? No,
It only
because
lasts a minute.
no. So I just want to I want to know if they are absolutely sincere with their promise.
How are you checking this?
So I guess it would be
like to check
insight.
this? Yep.
It would be my insight, yeah.
Mhm.
So 16.
So you can tell that from the quivering in the facial expression of Caligmatar's face that she is in fact sincere in that her promise is her word.
And her promise is specifically she will never bother the sword.
Never
Coast
to
again.
bother the Sword Coast again.
I will kind of draw my blade and point it right at her neck, and I will speak very slowly and menacingly in Draconic. You will keep to your vow, or I will find you and I will hunt you down. If we should have need of you to defend the Sword Coast, I will call and you will answer.
Not if you understand.
As Nokris is going on his spiel, Holly's gonna run up to Caligmutar, and she's gonna put a hand on her side, and she's gonna cast Cure Wounds at level 1. Because that's all I know how to do.
Oh no, she's attacking Holly. I have to kill her.
Oh no. All right. So you give 5 HP back to your friend.
Yeah.
And she nods in agreement and verbally confirms that she will in fact come to the aid should the request be lodged for a threat where she is able to assist.
Is this the part where I just cast Enervation and absorb its essence and gain its power?
I mean,
And be like, haha, I'm actually an evil warlock. A warlock that's actually evil. Surprise.
Swear to God, I'll kill all of
No,
you.
no,
As he
disintegrate it.
as he's
Black Wind.
as he shakes his head and grabs Nokris by the shoulder and says, "We don't have time for this. We've still got a war to fight.
Yep,
The gates at north have been breached. We need to go."
Yep. I put my sword away. Go.
and
then it's stunned for a second because they swirl.
having been healed in some fashion by her now friend, Caligmatar, very gingerly rises out of the rubble, slowly, and manages to find flight, flying less than gracefully out of the city and back towards her lair to the southeast, leaving you standing among the ruins in the rubble of the former Peculiarity Shop, within which you see a particular painting that now looks weathered and aged beyond what it appeared to before, and on which you see the familiar forms, shapes, and faces of many defenders you just witnessed on the roof of the Swords of Leyland. And among them is our shop's proprietor, Aubrey.
Wait a fucking second. So, oh, okay.
He was a kooky wizard after all.
So, now that
All
the
right.
dragon has been removed from the battle,
Mm-hmm.
the forces of Merkel have been routed to the south by the defenders of Leyland, and the forces of the north and Talisites having been drawn back by the dragon, taking their mighty berserkers out of the game. They withdraw from the city as you slowly but surely push any remaining forces out of the gates with the aid of the emboldened and bolstered defenders of Leyland, retaking the city and securing the perimeter. You see the Talisites leave to the north, scattering across the coastline. You see the undead heading to the south, kind of dissolving into the mirror of the dead to the south, becoming one again with the waters. And you find yourselves once more in the city of Leyland, where the gates are now once again secured. You have become the heroes of Leyland. The time elapses of about a couple weeks where things begin to rebuild and reconstruct. Statues are erected in the square in your honor. An edict is sent from Lord Neverember to the north that the day marked on the calendar 2 weeks prior will be honored in your name for the defense of the city and that of the Sword Coast. And he gives you 2 final offerings. One, to see to the remaining threats within the coast. That of the spirit of Ebendeth to the south, and that of the remaining Talisites scattered to the north. And so, you successfully save the town, and you have 2 remaining options, should you wish to embark upon them. But after such a spirited and enthralled defense of the city, and the amount of time that it has taken for you to recover since, you can easily do a long rest for yourselves, and you can gain a level.
Okay, see, now you can start humming Victory Fanfare Night, because I heard you doing that shit earlier, and I'm like, please don't fucking jinx it.
Time to roll my hit die.
Oh my god. I am so glad I had advantage. I rolled
Yes.
that crit.
Yes, the fight with Caligmatar was, it went a lot quicker than it normally would have. You started from, Caligmatar effectively having the equivalency of about 195 HP, and you had to effectively push Caligmatar under 50 for that event to unfold, and you managed to bring Caligmatar to 0. So,
Bum bitch.
I now has command undead, guys.
so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, here we are at the moment here. It's what, like 9:30, 10:30, depending.
Yeah.
We can continue forward with another one of these left quests on the board, but they are effectively just kind of juicy bits to finalize some additional story elements if you want with these components. But effectively, the meat of the campaign module is now complete. So we have 2 remaining things we can embark upon to complete, should you wish to do that. Otherwise, we can start planning for whatever it is we're going to continue to do after this campaign, which we haven't really talked about.
I don't want to talk about it. It's so I don't want to talk about it being over.
So that's why there's 2 more quests, because theoretically the party isn't over. We could continue. Or if we wanted to kind of discuss and make the plans about where we'll take things from here, I figure it's worth, having some discussion time at least to open forum it and figure out what we're going to do.
It would probably be a good idea to at least talk about it.
Right. Rather than have it be like, all right, guys, we're out of stuff to do. So now what? It's like, we'll see you next week to figure out whatever the fuck we're going to do. So
Next week, we all sit around and discuss Animal Crossing farm tactics.
right. And stare blankly at each other in the camera. So, yeah, I see you.
All right. No. Okay, so crazy question. Like the order that like the big frames and like camera view where it has all 6 of us, like is that the same on everybody's screen?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's kind of random of sorts.
Okay.
Because it's not necessarily, well, maybe it's alphabetical. Now that I think about it. Right?
It is, in fact, alphabetical,
Yeah,
at
it's
least on my
alphabetical.
screen.
Yeah, it's alphabetical because it would be Argo, then it would be Blackwind because you're like your name in the Discord is
Yeah,
Blackwing,
so
then
if I point this
Koval,
way,
then me for Judy, then Holly, then Knight. Yeah, so
gotcha. So if I'm actually like pointing at somebody on camera, I'm actually pointing at the right person. That's
theoretically.
nice.
Yep.
My health isn't updating right.
What do you mean?
With it being my health being having the roll for the increase, not updating the roll.
In your spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Did you manually add the adjustment to your HP?
Yep.
In the level up screen or in the character sheet itself?
The level up.
Okay. Let me go into the editing mode on your character and just take a look here. Abilities. There we go. HP. So I see your HP currently has 78.
I guess it's just not updating on my end yet.
Yeah.
You know,
All I would
78
say.
correct.
All I would say is try just refreshing the page completely and just see if that does it. But
So
I kind of ask you guys what's the game plan? What do you want to do for next week? Do you want to continue these 2 quests? Do you want to search for an additional campaign module to move on to? I don't have anything in the can currently, but there's a lot of options that are out there that we can easily pick up and look into. It shouldn't take me an immense amount of time to prep for, but theoretically we may be looking at new characters simply because of the fact that whatever we may take on next would theoretically involve level shifting to match the campaign. So that will potentially be a new direction. So I don't know. Any thoughts in that regard? Anything people are interested in trying, not trying? Does anyone want to try to take my seat as DM to do that experience versus playing? What exactly? How does that all fit with everyone? What do they
So 2 thoughts on that front. One, I definitely feel like we shouldn't wrap up like the overall story that we're telling with this group and this party quite yet. Like I know that like book wise we're kind of like
right
already at the end, but having seen your home brewing skills in the past, I kind of trust you well enough to be able to wrap up because I think that the whole thread with Ebondeath itself, I think is something that should definitely be pursued because the barbarians and the Talosites, like, that's kind of one of those things. Like, I guess from my point of view, I'm like, okay, there are some wild, crazy cultists. They're kind of fractured and spread out. Sure, Ferali's out there. Whoop-de fucking do though. But there's also an ancient undead black dragon spirit flying around somewhere north and south. Like, that's kind of fucking huge, guys. I feel like that's a pretty necessary plot thread to finish this thing up. Second thought is I know I had spoken to you about it before, John, about maybe taking the DM seat and running a campaign at some point. But I would like to make sure that everybody else is, 1, okay with such things, and 2, I definitely want to come to like a solid conclusion to this group's story before any such thing would happen.
Right. And that's totally fine. I'm okay with continuing out the remnants of these 2 kind of closing quests and or wrapping up loose ends of stuff to, continue that and evolve that. And we definitely have the time for it still. I just wanted to, because we've kind of hit the massively pivotal point in the overarching campaign story of kind of conclusion or completion with that. I wanted to at least start to formulate and figure out our game plan so that we don't run out of runway and then kind of have a lapse of time in between. So.
I would say definitely at least agree with finishing up on the part of concluding the Ebondeath piece, just because it does feel like a more natural place to finish it up in some regards. The other suggestion, I don't know, because that'll be a more group discussion, and I think we'll want to like take a bit of time to like discuss out exactly what everyone's thinking and things like that, because it would definitely be an opportunity, whatever we decide to do with it, probably to start with new characters if we want to, just because depending upon how we do things at that point, then these characters have kind of grown to their maturity in some sense, minus
Agreed.
some other things.
Yep.
So, at least on my vote for the initial thing, definitely finishing up with the Ebon Death stuff next week or the next 2 weeks or something like that. And then the other stuff we should definitely discuss a bit just to kind of see what everyone else is feeling as well, which I guess is what this time is for right
Right.
now.
Pretty much. That's what I kind of tried to budget for a little bit here, so that
Mhm.
we had some discussion time to kind of feel things out. Would something to move on to in terms of campaign be something people wanted to start with a younger character kind of feel? Do we want to look at earlier levels and like the initiation of early stuff? Do we want to land somewhere in the middle of that? Like, are you trying something from like levels 1 to 5 so you don't really feel too overpowered in terms of like your starting point? I see Argo nodding head a lot, so
I
Yeah,
suppose. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
It just sounds neat to do the early level stuff.
yeah, it's definitely an experience, and it's something that I didn't really give everyone that was coming in this for the first time, simply because I've found from my experience as a player that when you start out early on in the game at early levels and you kind of get through the flow of combat, picking certain classes and playing through that in combat and other interactions at early levels can feel a little underwhelming, where you don't feel like you're actually doing anything or contributing to the effectiveness of the group. So I tried to leapfrog us forward a bit in time to make everyone kind of have their kit well developed so that they could provide a more benefit or have like more things to do that felt like it was impactful in everything that they were doing. So that was kind of where my head was when I thought, let's jump into a module that's at like level 7, level 8 and start from there and then roll forward. Starting at something that's earlier in the levels, like level 1 or up to 5 or whatever, still is beneficial in that it will give you kind of a robust evolution of your character, but will probably scale back some of the feel of the intensity or the power that your class can theoretically bring to the table, which could elongate how long certain things might take in combat and or other interactions. So it's not bad, and it's not necessarily good, but it has pros and cons. So
Mhm.
I feel like this was an excellent way to figure out what kind of character we wanted to play too. Just because you see the developed kit, and having a more developed kit allows you to explore more avenues.
Right.
To give something on a new character to work forward to. So
Mhm.
I kind of liked it like this.
I agree. I feel like as somebody who had never played D&D before playing with this group, fuck off. Jumping in, like, obviously going in at level 1 is, it has its own benefits because you slowly work your way into things. But I had, Knight that I could ask questions. I had all of you guys that I could ask questions. So jumping into something like a level, 7 campaign was very overwhelming at first, but does give you that sense of, okay, well, I have all of these things that I can do. I have all these different options. I feel like I can contribute in a different way. So that was great. On the other side of things, though, I wouldn't mind going for our next campaign being slightly less in levels. I don't know if everybody wants to start, but I'd say something around like level 3. I think would still be early enough that we get that feeling of character growth. I mean, we've been God, how many weeks has it been now since we started?
This session was session
For a
number
year.
48.
48 weeks.
48
Almost
weeks.
a full year.
But it's been more than 48 weeks if you think about it,
Yeah.
because we've had
Yeah,
skip
'cause
weeks
breaks.
and things.
Yeah, it's been
So-
over a year.
I do agree.
We
I
started in
think
January.
cleaning up the Ebon Death storyline would be kind of a good like capper for our characters and for our first full campaign together, guys.
Right.
And also, it would help us give guys
Fuck
time
you
to
too,
figure
buddy. I
stuff
love
out.
you.
That's my thought on it.
I do agree. I think
Yeah.
we should, since speaking from experience of a more veteran player, since we did introduce people in the mid tier, so to speak, for it. I do think that we should now introduce them to the very low tier, and I am honestly all for starting at level 1 because that oftentimes gets a lot of very interesting things involved,
Right.
just as much as high level. So high level D&D is very much kind of like Rocket Tag in a sense, but you have a lot of options to Rocket Tag.
Right.
Level 1, it is still technically Rocket Tag, but it's Rocket Tag with you only have one thing because you're so frail in terms of certain things and what you can do. But starting from level 1, you do really get to kind of chart how your character grows completely at it, and you can make more decisions based off that just because you have multiple branches on your tree to go with. With my character as an example, I knew what I wanted to do and I branched out because I've played before and I knew, okay, I need to kind of do this and maneuver around. But starting from level 1 gives people a lot of ability to do it a lot more naturally within the story versus necessarily within just building the character. A really good example is in my Sunday games that I play with like Roxy and them. In one of the ones that he was DMing, I was playing a class that basically the character was a retired soldier who had a daughter and he had to go and find her again because she was kidnapped and all of this stuff. And he was a certain class and he had kind of gotten away from his soldiering, but by the end of the campaign, he took a prestige class that got him back into his old soldiering ways mixed with what the new class was that he had started with, because he realized that I need to fall back on what I do, and what I do best is winning wars strategically and making sure that my people get home alive. So I think starting from level 1 will be a fun experience for those who are newer and give them that initial kind of feeling of starting brand new fresh. Plus, it will also give some of us who are a bit more experienced time to play with something that maybe we haven't played with in a while or something else.
Yep, understood.
I think it'd be a really interesting point too, because I know there are several of us that like to kind of lean on more of the RP aspects. Colt and I were talking not too long ago about multi-classing, and I was asking him, well, from an RP standpoint, if we do start a level 1 campaign, how does that work? And having multi-classes on, say, like I know what my next character is going to be already, and it's a multi-class character. I was asking him, how does a character develop from one class and then have an interest in another class? How do you RP that? How does that come into the world? And he was explaining it to me, and I think that would be an interesting experience for those of us that do kind of enjoy those RP aspects of D&D.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I also think another thing within our benefit too is that a lower level campaign is easier and breeds, I think, at times more alternative options to certain things, where instead of just simply running headlong, with hot-headedness into combat, we may think more creatively to be like, well,
Yeah.
What if
I feel a little called out right now.
No, I'm just saying it's more prevalent when you have less power behind your character to be like, well, instead of me charging into this pack of like 8 orcs, like, how about I shoot an arrow at that thing up there on that cliff and knock some rocks down and maybe kill 4 of them or even all of them without actually having to get in the middle of it. Or maybe I will pretend or disguise myself and pretend that I'm like their superior and order them to do something and I don't have to fight, and they go and do it. And a lot of that stuff then comes into like the skill check system where it's like, yeah, your character maybe have these skills that you've never really employed, but they may at the same time like suck at level 1 in combat and only have like 18 HP, and they get hit by like 1 bad crit and they're done. So keeping that in mind, sometimes the more creative elements of how to approach a certain encounter or situation can help to diffuse the situation without actually having to pull dice out and, whack every turn until somebody drops. So
that's kind of my experience as well, is that generally speaking, like your very low level characters, because they don't have as many options in terms of like direct like character statistic related things. So you don't have as many spell slots, you don't have as many spells known or spells in your spell book, or all these other crazy cool features and things. You have to think on your toes in order to figure out what you're going to do. It's like
You
you're
can't just run in and smite things to death, you mean?
Unfortunately, you can't have a 98 damage turn just randomly all
Nope.
the time at level 1. It's kind of strange,
Right.
but
How do you play this game?
I don't know. It's weird, man. Like I've been playing it for what, like probably collectively like 15 years. I don't know.
John, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You've DM'd this campaign.
Mhm.
Do you want to play as a character?
Of course. I mean, I think everyone at the same time, like at least me as an individual, like being able to direct the narrative and kind of evolve the story as we collectively have built it, giving you guys effectively some guidelines to work within. And at times, if you try to veer off too far in one direction, maybe trying to nudge you back in is enjoyable. But similarly to that enjoyment is kind of having the open-ended power to kind of decide and be like, hey, so instead of going and fighting this thing, how about we go help this like baker's daughter like carry this big cart worth of flour into the shop or something, and maybe this will bring us to some other thing. Like so it's like instead of being like, yeah, okay, let's go to the south and fuck up these bandits, it's like maybe instead we do a little bit more like interaction development in the town. And it's like, all right, well, where does that take us? It's like, okay, maybe we gain some favor with the shopkeeper. Now we get a discount. Maybe he tells us about so-and-so in the next town over. And that kind of stuff is things that I think are kind of there to be directed and had, and things that I would have loved to have been able to kind of interject in kind of my own crazy brain of let's do this instead, and probably would have annoyed the living shit out of myself as a DM, because you're like here's the construct of what's supposed to happen in this story, and then if you have one fucking idiot that's like, let's completely go over here and not give a fuck about anything,
Like all of us?
I remember early on in our campaign, John and I were talking about exactly this.
yeah,
We were
Yeah.
only a couple of sessions in, and he was like, yeah, I had this whole thing planned for this area, and you guys completely fucked off and went the opposite direction, and I had to just fucking, like,
Yup.
spitball everything for
That's
that
Where that
session.
failed.
Isn't that
It's-
when time broke?
well, I mean, among other things, but yes, I mean, a lot of those, and as a DM, like, still, that was enjoyable for me too, because I had to kind of think on my toes and kind of be like, all right, like, I wasn't ready for what we're doing right now, but at the same time, I'm going to help to shape this and kind of make it enjoyable and give some entertainment value to it, and then try to find a way to bring the path back to where it needs to be. And sometimes we take a detour where we're fucking off in the foothills, like chasing down some random like werewolf
spell
people
components.
that has no bearing whatsoever on the whole fucking campaign arc. And I have to basically reset time through a storyline to put us back on the right path. But
Which props to you for coming up with that way to be like, and guess what? We're still technically on the same tracks.
hey, you do what you got to do. But at the same
It's pretty
time,
good.
it's like it's basically looking at the same like mirror, the same piece of glass, where one side of it is one side where you're doing one thing and the other side is another side where you're doing the same thing, but in the middle is the same piece of glass, which is effectively the development of the story and the enjoyment that we have out of it. So it's whether or not I'm on one side of the fence or the other side of the fence, it doesn't necessarily matter. Sure, it would be nice to be on the other side simply because it gives me the freshness of not kind of being the one that knows it all and kind to maneuver and set things in your guys' path and everything else. But it doesn't stop me one way or the other from having fun doing it. So,
Well, I guess on that note, it would be a good point to put forth the question of, Harper, do you think that DMing would be something that you would have the time and energy to do? The reason I ask it like that is because I know that you have a lot going on with work, and you just moved, and now you have a new relationship. And I'm not trying to say that like any of that could get in the way of D&D,
Hold
but
up.
it is a serious question because it is a commitment, and I know you're here every
Oh
Monday.
yeah.
But if that is something that you think that you're amenable to, I don't think that anybody here would have a big issue with you GMing and John finally getting to make a character and step into being a party member.
Yeah, so long as John doesn't play an Aarakocra, I think we're good.
Oh no,
I'll do my
things are
best.
released. John
I'll do
has
my
to play
best.
a fairy character now.
Oh
Oh,
no! All
okay.
4
I
of
mean-
my characters I thought of were Aarakocra.
I fucking hate Aarakocra so goddamn
I have a
much.
somewhat related, not related. I'm also amenable to throwing my hat in for DM. I've never done it before, and it'd be an experience for me.
Mhm.
With that being said, 5e has been my reintroduction to this, and it seems that most of these modules take place in this world of Neverwinter. This world, what is this world called?
The Sword Coast and
Yeah, the Sword Coast is
Fair-
the Forgotten Realm setting.
Faerun? No, that's
Faerun is the
Faerun.
name of this continent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, are we trying to get? is
Doesn't
that
have to be at all.
Okay.
No.
So
There's no limitation. Like literally, if you were to come up with a story and you call the universe like Bumblefuck, and we had a city or 3 cities that were warring,
Bumblefuck.
and there were
Yeah.
orcs and living dragons that weren't actually like this very spread out and whatever, and you made this whole thing, like totally cool to play within. I'm not tied at all in any way to the Sword Coast or any campaign that's like canned and pre-made by Wizards of the Coast or anything. The only reason why I opted for it
Sorry.
is because it's easier to kind of guide people through when a lot of it's already pre-thought for you, and you can kind of just fudge things. Like a lot of the things we went through, honestly, I either completely rewrote in my head or kind of reworked the way interactions were supposed to happen. Like some of the instances, like something was supposed to happen completely different, and I just decided that the way that we were moving and the way that I made it happen was better for where our story was than what was predetermined.
Yep.
Which is great, because if people look ahead or cheat and look inside the source material and figure out, oh, this is what the campaign's supposed to have, I'm going to know what this interaction is. Suddenly, when you pivot it on its head and someone's like, wait a minute, that's not how that's supposed to go, you're like, of course it's not. and you give them the old aha and point at them like someone's been reading the module information. So
Metagaming. It's so much fun.
it's always good to be able to kind of have something as a basis to work from, but don't let it be such a confining guideline where you try to adhere to everything that's written in the book or by the word, because you're going to miss a lot in terms of the overarching enjoyment and the story quality, I think,
Yeah.
if you try to force it to always be that.
Mhm. To add on to that point, the best way to think of it is with homebrewing, you have complete creative control over the setting, how everything interacts with itself, and all of doing that. What comes with that, though, is that it's a lot of time because you do have to
Right.
make things make some semblance of sense so it feels breathable and livable. What the pre-canned modules offer is structure, as John said,
Right.
to kind of make it so that you don't have to do a lot of the heavy lifting. You still have to do a lot of things like character interaction, character arc building, and things like that. And if the book says, well, this character doesn't really talk to Dragonborn because their father was murdered by them, and then they are completely racist to Dragonborn now, you can use that and either spin it on its head if you want to, or you can play with it because, again, it's there as a guideline versus anything else. To the sub-question that I think you're getting to of in terms of what other kind of realms there are with things, again, you can kind of make your own and go anywhere. As John said, you can go into the universe of Bumblefuck, where everyone's a bumblebee and they constantly fuck if you want to. Or you can go Wizards of the Coast has at least 3 other settings. The Forgotten Realms is their primary one, which is kind of like their source, if you will, with like I think Gygax spent most
Not Gygax.
No, who
Actually, it was
was it?
Ed Greenwood created Forgotten
Ed Green.
Realms.
And then there's also Eberron,
Mhm.
which is the noir
Baker.
steampunk magical tech adventure where things like Warforged come from and
Artificers.
stuff like that. Yep. It's like magic noir tech punk a
Right.
little bit.
That's pretty
And then there's also one other one, and that is Ravenloft.
Right.
And that
Barovia.
is, yeah.
Go ask
Barovia.
Kendra.
That is
She'll
Gygax.
answer your questions.
Also Theros with the more Greece mythology type stuff
Yeah.
going
Right.
on in it.
Yes, there is too for that. And then there's
Um,
also other settings. There's like Dark
Right.
Sun, which was like a 3rd edition one that was very popular that they haven't brought here. But
And there's always the Underdark.
right.
If you
Yeah.
want to go underground.
That sunlight sensitivity wouldn't be as bad if I went with Drow. If someone did Underdark.
I will throw this out there, but if I would end up taking the chair, my current plan is to go full homebrew. I do have a fairly decent amount of source material that I've kind of collected over the years in my writings on and off about campaign setting that I've been working on. So that's what I would like to do.
Okay.
But of course, if everybody's like, oh, I would rather just keep going in the Forgotten Realms, I know a shitload about the Forgotten Realms. I've been reading the books since I was like 6. So I'm totally cool with that too.
So my feeling as a potential player at that point would be, so long as you have everything worked out enough to be able to provide the answers to questions we may have and or give us kind of a overview or a guide to the universe, so to speak, so that we can feel like we properly root characters within the environment, I don't really see a problem with anything that's homebrewed, because it's fresh, it's completely unknown territory to everyone for the first time. So there's really nothing that we can try to look at and be like, oh, I metagamed to know what's going on. But some of what can come out of homebrew could also at the same time fall into the area of, caution with DM, where you may specifically want certain things to happen and try to force them to happen. And that can become a kind of a touchy point. And that's the thing why me as well as a DM, I was like, I could totally make something up and go with it. But the problem is I feel like I'd be way too invested on being like, I want this fucking thing to happen, that I spent like a weekend trying to detail how it would work and the interactions. And then if it's simply just avoided or creatively diffused without ever bringing about the kind of thing I wanted, I may react to want to try to steer the story to still make it happen somehow and do this Deus Ex Machina, and it's kind of a slippery slope to be cautious of. And that's my only real consideration as from a DM side, but I have no problem with any of that at all. As long as you feel like it's prepped and you have all the information we would need and everything like that, it's totally workable. I don't see any issue with it.
Sorry, Cole, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Mine's going to be a little bit more long-winded. So
The only other concern that I would have as a player with homebrew stuff is that, like, I already have my next character planned out. So, like, I know... I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want you guys to know about it.
It's fine.
But I have certain aspects of my character planned that may or may not be in a homebrew situation. So I mean, if that's something that would be like, not negotiable, but you know what I mean, like something that can be worked out where it's kind of similar or the same, then that would be something I would be concerned of as a player. But that would just really be, whoever talking to the DM and just being like, hey, so I have this planned out. Can we work something out or whatever?
The one thing I will append to Junie's thing is, speaking as a previous DM as well, the one thing that you can always employ with character decisions is to set up focal points. And I'm going to use this as an example of something that in my previous game that I ran, people liked a lot and someone did not like. And basically, to set up the scene, the player characters were running away from the city where it had literally turned against them in terms of all the town guard. They were forced to get on a ship and flee from the area by sea. and the head person of the guard had hostage one of the character's kids, and she basically used that as a threatening point of, you will leave the city and never return, or I will gut this child right in front of you. And one of the ways I kind of reinforced that you guys really should not fuck with this is I made it so that the entire town militia was with her to really kind of push that emphasis there. And a lot of my players really like that because it made the situation feel very kind of do or die and very hopeless. And you have a life of a kid hanging in the balance and you want to make the right decision. One of my players who is a lot more of a power gamer and a min-maxer
It was Roxy,
like,
wasn't it?
no, it was not.
Oh.
You're close though. It's the other one you can probably
Oh,
guess.
okay.
They said, no, fuck this. I have the stats and I know I have the stats to do this, so this is bullshit. And they went to go do it. And it was a very tense instance because it was one of my instances where, as a newer DM at the time, I wasn't quite sure how to handle it. And luckily, the other players, we kind of ended it there. We had come to a decision that he didn't do that and that the other players had kind of talked them down from doing it. But the thing that I will caution is that always, what I learned from that experience is that you can still build those scenarios to be very, you should really consider this option and do this option that is being told to you in some way or being kind of shown to you, but still let the player do what they're going to do, even if it's going to result in them being very, very stupid. Because at that point, they had gotten annoyed and they didn't like it, while a lot of the other players thought it was a great storytelling moment, and they were all like, well, that was a really great scene. That one in particular didn't care for it as much. So that's just something to bear in mind as kind of a word of wisdom, is if you do have those inflection points that you know are coming up, always allow the players to make the choice. And what happens, and if they make the wrong choice, then that's the choice that they make, and you can't necessarily try and gerrymander it away so that everyone lives, because it's important that they kind of leave. And that's the same thing of a canned story as well, so to speak, just because that was a pre-made module that I was running for Pathfinder. And it does have instances in there where it's like the players should be doing this or should be pointing this way, and you kind of have to bend the rules for that.
So one suggestion then that I've used this pretty well in the past, I actually kind of picked up on the trend before everybody in 5e started talking about it when I ran some Pathfinder games several years ago, is the concept of a session zero. To just simply sit down and get a good idea from everybody, like, okay, we like this sort of game. This is the sort of campaign we're kind of wanting to angle towards. Something like, oh, hey, if one player says flat out, I will not play a survival style game, then we know that that's not an option. Or if somebody else is like, oh, I really like exploration, and another person's like, oh, I really like intrigue, or I really like combat heavy type things, or I really want a lot of extra role playing. I just want to have cool scenery, things like that. That's the sort of discussions I typically would have during a session zero, so that I could try and tailor the campaign material and the story within the specific campaign world to the group.
Yep.
And that way I would actually be writing to what's actively going on. That way the party could continue doing basically what they want, but at the same time they're still following a semi-predetermined path, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're a railroad, but with alternate tracks still heading the same direction. So,
and with highlights that they're interested in.
Yes. So you can choose which car to ride in, but you're still going down the track.
The one that has hot chocolate.
I think the idea of a session zero is a really good idea. Just for exactly that. So trying to figure out what kind of campaign we would all be interested in, especially now that John would be stepping in as a character versus a DM. So that's another, not new person, but that's another new way of thinking or new preference tossed into a group. Like we all already know how we prefer our games. Like we've played with each other for over a year now, so we all have a good idea. But I think, sitting down for a session and saying, okay, well, for this next one, I think we should do a little bit more RP. We should, do a little bit more exploration or interacting with NPCs. I think that's a good idea.
Survival.
I can do survival games, and I'm pretty fucking brutal at them. So
Listen. If you make me use encumbrance for my gold,
I will make
fucking
you
quit.
use
Make-
encumbrance for how much water you have in your fucking water
and
skin.
and make you count projectiles to keep track of every time you take a shot with an arrow.
Fuck that. Fuck it.
Yeah.
This person gets it.
no.
No, fuck that
We're going
shit.
back to Final Fantasy 14 1.0.
Fuck that shit. Oh man.
No. Final Fantasy 14 1.0.
So
No.
I guess the other point that I can think of that is obviously we'll continue this through the rest. Is there any
Yes.
particular timeline that you need in terms of preparation, Harper, if we were to make that happen?
So I would say I could probably do enough to get us really started within a week at least, because I would definitely like to stick with the level 1 to level 3 range to get
Totally.
everybody started.
Sure.
I think that's kind of what the group consensus is already anyways.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I want to make sure that I've got enough to try and get a bit of a lead on a little bit of working ahead, so to speak.
Got you.
So timeline wise, I would say like maybe 2 to 3 weeks is probably about what I would like to have.
Mhm.
And that would be including a session 0. So, because I assume the Ebon Death would take at least 2 to 3 weeks to wrap up.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
remainder
I
of the
was
story.
gonna say Evan Desk probably gonna take a couple of weeks. Plus,
At least two.
nobody here is gonna be like, no, you can't have an extra 2 weeks to prepare your homebrew for us.
Right.
No.
Absolutely
Oh.
not.
How dare you create a world?
Dudes, if you want me to, I will straight up make copies of the parchment style map that I made of the homebrew world and mail it to you.
Absolutely not required. The only other question I guess I have that goes in line with that is, are there any resources from my end that you need or would require or would like in terms of what we've had access to thus far? Simply from the perspective of, I don't know what modules you may or may not own within D&D Beyond, if that's even going to be a thing we're going to continue to use as a focal tool in
Yes.
terms of tabletop.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of VTT, do we want access or giving access to you into the assets that I have currently with the subscription there? Do we want to look at simply creating a kind of nondescript DM-based account and then add or purchase the modules to add to it so that each player has their own kind of access to their character interaction with it, but we have the secondary account that's kind of agnostic from everyone else and can float if this thing becomes a situation like that? I only mention that because in the past we thought of this situation. I was like, okay, well, if one person owns all the modules and then someone else wants to run with it, how can they, as a player, still be able to interact with their account and somehow then also have all this stuff be available to all players for the campaign?
Okay, I gotcha.
Because I know that in Beyond, you're able to share the content that you own with the campaign, but only as long as you're the DM for the campaign.
Yep.
So,
So I would say in terms of D&D Beyond stuff, I think I'm pretty well set there. I've got most of the core source books and things that I would need anyways.
Okay.
And that I would want you guys to be able to interact with in the first place. I think I even have like the turtle package or some shit. So, which turtles are cool, by the way. I fucking love turtles. But above and beyond stuff like that, like actual modules within Roll20, I don't think they're a huge necessity. The things I would want access to personally would be more like token type stuff that I could use for monsters and mobs and players and
right, which I can
stuff.
show you. Some of the stuff that I wound up doing is the module provides like very specific canned ones that are not as amazing. I found some tutorials online from people, especially for this one game, Cody, who makes this thing called Taking 20, that basically walked through the the entire monster manual and basically created custom tokens for every monster in the monster manual based upon power level. So you could literally just drag a token out, from the monster manual that you have built inside of Roll20, and you can archive out the assets whatever you want, but they live then within inside of your account. So at that point, if you're like, you start a brand new campaign, you can just pull in the entire monster manual that you've created within your compendium that you own within Roll20, and you can literally spawn any monster you want from the entire monster compendium into whatever map, whatever campaign that you're going to run within Roll20.
Okay, cool.
So-
Yeah, so then you and I might have to just sit down and do like a little Roll20 DM talk at some point.
It just, I mean, it requires some prep time literally in Roll20 to sit there and just like make a template token and then make a copy and then rename it and then jump the stat block on it. And then, because you can, a lot of the way that he did it is he built macros for each thing. So when you highlight an enemy token, you can literally just click the attack types from a bar or click initiative or the saving throws. So you don't have to like dick around with going and finding it inside of Roll20 and then rolling it inside the thing. You can just roll it literally right in Roll20. So it's kind of like a savings in that regard. So
Gotcha. Because I've got a little bit of experience from running previous Roll20 campaigns with things like using map art assets, loading in things like music, initiative counts, dice, all that fun stuff. So I can do the basics, but if I can get a little more advanced, that'll definitely help. So
we could totally work on that at some point if you need time to do it.
Mhm.
Or even if you want me to just link the videos that I used when I was building it and you want to.
I'm already subbed to Taking 20, so.
Okay. Fair enough. But
yeah.
All right, well, cool. So I guess then what we'll plan for is we will continue the remnants of this campaign module with these two closer kind of quests that are inside of it. And then after probably like a 2 to 3, maybe 4 week term, depending upon timeline, we'll plan to start a new campaign under a different DM banner.
Mm-hmm.
And we will begin with, I'm assuming, level 1 for everybody. And we'll have a good time.
This is exciting. I've wanted John to be a character for so many months now.
Well, now you will have that chance. So.
Oh, heads up too, if people want to start planning out character stuff in advance, feel free. But I do have one thing that might throw a bit of a curveball to some people. Halflings do not exist in my campaign world, so
okay.
Oh,
you have been fairly warned.
Easy.
You do not.
I think I'll work around that. That's fine.
You mean it can't be a halfling lucky divination wizard?
I would tell you to go fuck off. No, I'm not playing with that shit. No, not even with pug wampies. No.
Okay, so you don't have halflings. I swear to God, you have Kender in there. I'm going to.
No.
So let me ask this though. So you said no halflings. I'm assuming you're talking about pint-sized, variants of halfling stature. Does that include other half-race variants like half orc or like half elf, for example? Or
yeah. Those are still totally a thing. But halfling specifically, as in like
perfect
Tolkien hobbits or
I just needed that kind of level of definition, because when someone says the word halfling, generally they're talking about like the gnome dwarf in between
the small
breed.
folk.
But some people could mean halfling as in like a half breed in general, in which case it could envelop
those people are called racist, John.
Well, I mean,
well, but I'm also kind of curious about your very specific halfling racism that you have in your home.
Well, it's actually not a kind of racism. It has to deal with the in-game history of the world. So
Okay.
A meteor struck and wiped out every single halfling and only hit them.
So, quick question. So, halflings, does that mean then gnomes are still?
yes, gnomes are still a thing.
Okay, so it is.
just
Okay.
not,
Only
just
the
not
in-between.
in between.
Specifically halflings.
The plague came and killed all the halflings. Good.
The wee folk, the ones that get
Hairy
busted
feet
at
were
parody.
outlawed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were put to the cross and burned.
Food was poisoned, but only if you ate it 12 times a day.
All the
Oh.
tea biscuits were
That's almost better than what I've
slightly
got,
arsenic.
Right.
Yep.
As he's
Well,
dead.
The old Toby was poisoned.
What about Lemonsies and second breakfast? Does he know about tea time?
All right. Well,
I don't know about tea time.
I'm going to end the stream at this point. I left it going just to get some kind of filler for our discussion to keep that for everyone else. I don't know, Harper, if you are interested in adding anyone additional or not.